You tell the story about how you tried to find out what they call the Mossad when they deal with publicly?
I thought it was a reasonable question, but the trouble is you can't pick up the phone book. There's no Langley in Israel that you can look up, CIA, or in our case, the Mossad. We thought we should ask, what shall we call it in English? You can translate the Hebrew words, as I said, Mossad is institute, but when they write a letter to their friends in the CIA or the British intelligence, what do they call themselves? It took a while. It was a matter of asking the Prime Minister's spokesman. The best you could do, because officially the Mossad is under the Prime Minister's office. And I think he sort of wondered why you want to know and all that, so we explained. And he came up with the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. I mean, if it were to have initials, it would be ISIS. Just simple words like that. Interestingly enough, kind of a British model.
The Sayanim are tens of thousands of people, Jews, Zionists, who are members probably of the Bnei Brit, for instance. Bnei Brit is the Jewish Masonry, who occupy high level in all the societies. I mean, you can imagine 5,000 Sayanim in New York, only in the business area. 5,000 Sayanim in Los Angeles, in the production area, in the artistic area, and you can in France, in London, you can imagine 1,000 Sayanim in the medias. You can imagine, and they receive orders from the Mossad, from a department of the Mossad called the War Department. And they work for the Mossad. It means that all these people who have their work, who work normally, they are citizens. I mean, they work in a bank, they are political, they are publishers, but when the Mossad call them and tell them, look, I need an information. I need, for instance, I need that all the Sayanim in all over the world say that this person, for instance, the Secretary General of the United Nations, has said something anti-Semitic. And you see all over the world, in Europe, in New York, the medias, you have the impression, I mean, when I discovered that, I understood. I mean, it's like when you light the light on, you know, because suddenly you open a newspaper, you listen to a radio, you hear a politician, everybody says, the Secretary General of the United States said something anti-Semitic. I mean, the poor guy, and why? Because the Mossad gave the order to do that. And I can say, for instance, the example of Gilad Shalit, you know, the Israeli soldier kidnapped by the Hamas. In 24 hours, his name was known all over the world. I mean, even if it was an American general who was kidnapped, his name would never have been mentioned. Gilad Shalit, in 24 hours, became a celebrity in the universe. And this is the work of the Sayanim.
When I talk, I had my second book. I had a record with my second book. I think my first book sold something around the world, close to 8 million copies. My second book was not reviewed in any newspaper in North America. Now that's a record. None. No, I'm sorry. I think the guy in the Phoenix Gazette and the people from Bnei Brit walked in and asked for him to resign. Yeah, because he's an anti-Semite. Now, I know what they do because I used to ask them to do it. I mean, when I was in the Mossad and we had a guy that gave us problems in the U.S., and he was speaking out, and he was talking like Pete talked once and said, Israel is bombing Lebanon with cluster bombs. We say, hey, who's that guy? You know? Pete McCarthy, we used to call him. Yeah. which is Pete the cockroach. Because he makes a lot of noise and you can't get rid of him. So what you do is you get in touch with a guy in the station in New York or in the station in Washington. You say, tell the guys at B'nai B'rith to label him. And of course the campaign starts, and before you know it, the guy's labeled. And he's an anti-Semite. Because that's what we say he is. And that's one stain you cannot wash. Now, it shames me as a Jew to tell you that. But that's the fact. And it's wrong.
Yours is a voice of criticism we don't often hear in the United States. Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong.
New tonight, are there spies among us?
Seems traveling door-to-door salesmen in northern Utah County are sometimes asking some strange questions. ABC4's Brent Hunsaker has been looking into this, Brent.
Yeah, these salespeople say they're Israeli students. They even produce Israeli passports. They say they're selling their own artwork to raise money to open a gallery. So, why would Israeli art students want to know about the National Security Agency? West of Redwood Road at Camp Williams, the NSA just starting on its new data center. So what will the super-secret agency stuff into a 1 million square foot building? It's a secret, and one that apparently interests art students who are selling door-to-door. The word is going out through blogs and even church bulletins. One such notice to women of the LDS Church in Highland said the students could have ties to organized crime and terror groups, and that part of their mission here is to gain information on the new NSA installation. This whole starving Israeli artist spiel is nothing new. It's been going on for years all over the country, all over the world. But in the United States, it's interesting that they seem to have a fascination with government facilities. For example, in Florida, it was DEA. Here, NSA. Gail Black of Eagle Mountain bought this painting from one of those Israeli students.
And then afterwards I thought, oh, what did I do?
But no questions about the NSA data center.
No.
Officer Matt Showerhammer of the Saratoga Springs Police Department got no confession when he caught up to a group in his town.
They looked like everyday college students.
But he discovered they're no artists.
I said, if you're actually an artist, why don't you draw me something? Gave them a piece of paper, gave them my pen. They produced a picture that was about on par with what my kindergartner could have done.
He gave them a ticket for soliciting without a business license.
Police have put a gag order on the teenager's identity. What we know is that he's a 19-year-old dual citizen, an American-Israeli Jewish teenager from the southern Israeli city of Ashkelon. And police say this is the man who was behind scores of bomb threats across not only the U.S., but also New Zealand and Australia. This was a joint investigation from the Israeli police, the FBI, as well as other agencies around the world. Israeli police say the first bomb threat was actually called into New Zealand, followed by Australia, followed by those bomb threats, those dozens of threats against JCCs, Jewish community centers in the U.S. Police had begun to believe this was the work of one person making robocalls, a series of automated calls disguising his voice and using technology to hide his identity. They believed those calls were coming from overseas. Those beliefs, those suspicions we see confirmed in the police investigation here, where police say it was, again, a 19-year-old American-Israeli Jewish teenager who they say carried out these robocalls against all these Jewish institutions as well as public places. They even say he called an airline, forcing an emergency landing during recent months. And it was the culmination of the work, again, by Israeli police and the FBI that led to the arrest this morning. Police say he will be held at least another week, but they have not released his identity at this point, only saying he is a 19-year-old from the southern Israeli city of Ashkelon. Of course, Robin, the main question is, Why? What's behind these bomb threats? And that is something we don't know just yet. That, of course, is part of this investigation.
This is not your average spyware. Lebanese authorities say they arrested 5 citizens on charges of spying for Israel in recent days. And these are the tools of trade they stand accused of using. Sophisticated communications devices, concealed inside ordinary household objects, were among the items seized by Lebanese counter-espionage units. And they pose more questions than answers. A Wi-Fi internet transmitter, or a retrofitted device for sending coded messages to Tel Aviv. This cooler lid surely is used to contain things other than liquids. And authorities say this camera was among the items used to feed pictures of Syrian and Lebanese targets to their handlers. The care and craftsmanship concealing these high-tech transmitters bear the fingerprints of a first-world spy service. And the Lebanese say they have no doubt it's the work of Israeli Mossad.
The enemy is trying to improve its targeting information in order to carry out bombings, assassinations, and to target the resistance. They're not spying on the resistance only. It is a common mistake that these networks are focused only on the resistance.
Authorities also claim to have seized military-grade maps when they arrested a former security officer, his wife, and a relative working inside the Lebanese General Security Organization. Officials have arrested a total of 17 individuals, many of whom stand accused of operating in the country's southern areas. The discovery opens up the possibility that Lebanese security has only begun to scratch the surface.
Our third story out front, the Terrorist Encyclopedia. That document, among many bomb-related materials, police say belonged to a young couple living in a high-end apartment in New York City's trendy Greenwich Village. The couple, 31-year-old Aaron Green and 27-year-old Morgan Gleedman, are in police custody. They've been charged with felony possession of an explosive with intent to use and felony criminal possession of a weapon. Susan Candiotti is out front with their story.
It's not the kind of activity you'd expect in an apartment in a posh section of Manhattan. But when police raided the home of Aaron Green and Morgan Gleedman in Greenwich Village, they found explosive material called HMTD and chemicals used to make it, along with 2 shotguns, a flare gun, and high-capacity magazines.
The HMTD is extremely volatile, and that's why the building was evacuated, and surrounding buildings, were certainly put on notice because of the ability of this to just go off at any given time.
As shocking, the suspects come from successful families. Aaron Green's father is a successful business owner. Morgan Gleedman's dad is a well-known doctor who owns the building where the two lived rent-free. Gleedman's mom is a high-end realtor. Green's lawyer declined to comment. A law enforcement source says the two met in rehab and that her family believes Green was the instigator.
What appears to have been going on in that apartment?
Well, we're still trying to determine precisely what was going on, but obviously the biggest cause of concern was the explosive.
HMTD is a signature al-Qaeda bomb-making material. It was used successfully in the 2005 London subway bombing attack.
It's hard to erase the fears that something like the British bombing attempts could happen here. We're joined this morning by Yuval Aviv, an international security and intelligence expert and the author of Staying Safe.
And it's easy to put a truck bomb as we did it. It's easy to put a truck bomb as we did it. It's easy to put a truck bomb as we did it.
The thing that makes Judaism dangerous to everybody, to every race, to every nation, to every idea, is that we smash things that aren't true. We don't believe in the boundaries of nation-state. We don't believe in the ideas of these individual gods that protect individual groups of people. These are all artificial constructions, and Judaism really teaches us how to see that. In a sense, our detractors have us right, in that we are a corrosive force. We're breaking down the false gods of all nations and all people because they're not real. And that's very upsetting to people.
Who are the men dressed in tennis outfits getting into a Dubai hotel lift with Hamas commander Mahmoud al-Mahu? That's what police and intelligence agencies are trying to figure out. A few hours after the CCTV footage was filmed, Mahu was murdered. Interpol has issued arrest notices for 11 suspects, all travelling on European passports from Britain, Ireland, France and Germany. The passports appear to be forgeries, several belonging to Israelis with dual nationality. That has fueled speculation that the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad is behind Mahoub's murder last month. But with the hit squad caught on camera, some observers believe these blunders are simply not in tune with the agency's usually ultra-secret operations.
If this person who authorized this information from that anonymous intelligence agency did not know that the police of Dubai has such capability and didn't take this into account, then this intelligence agency is in a deep problem that need to be checked and investigated.
A Palestinian official says that at least 3 Palestinians are believed to be involved in the operation. 2 are already in custody in Dubai. Whoever's responsible, Hamas has vowed revenge for Mahu, one of the founders of the Islamist group's military wing. Diplomatic tension is increasing, with Britain, Ireland, France and Germany all demanding explanations from Israel. Intelligence agencies will also be investigating how assassins travelling on forged passports managed to slip through airport security controls at a time when anti-terrorist measures have been ramped up.
One last question. This man here.
Do you have any insights about the Mumbai attacks of 2008 that we may not have heard?
Not too many. Of course, it involved Chabad. It involved the Israeli Chabad. And that whole thing. It's you know, it's just this another false flag, like the Nairobi mall attack happened in the mall. The mall was owned by Israelis. It all began in an Israeli shop, and these reports they're very interesting. It's like these people were watching the shooters. They're watching the shooter, and the shooter went into this clothes store and came out dressed in different clothes and walked away. Huh? And that was, people saw that guy. He went into a shoe store. He was a shooter. He'd been shooting up the place. Then he went in back to the store. And he came out, changed clothes, no gun anymore, just went out with everybody else. This is typical false flag. It was done in an Israeli. And the thing is that they do it, Israelis will only do this, Mossad will only do this in a place where they control everything. They have to, that's why they did 9/11. They not only control the whole New York City and all the investigation, and Michael Chertoff's an agent, et cetera, but they own the building, they own the place, they own the venue, they own the security company, they own every single aspect of it. Like if the Mossad is going to do a hit, like they did in Dubai, they killed that guy. There's like 30 people. There's guys walking with tennis rackets through the hotel. There's this girl, that girl. They're all Mossad. So the victim becomes not, Kennedy was surrounded by shooters from like 10 different directions, right? That's typical Mossad activity. They have, you become completely surrounded. Everybody that's around you is Israeli Mossad. And so then it's just a matter of just killing you. Because there are no witnesses. Everybody's on the same team. Remember when they did that operation in Dubai, I think it was, or Abu Dhabi, about a couple years ago? The page was full of the people involved, was like 30, 40 Mossad agents that had been captured on this closed circuit television. That's how they do it.
To our viewers about 5 minutes ago, but we do have an established connection now with CNN's Deborah Fayrick. The reports we're getting now, 2 or 3 men arrested on the New Jersey Parkway. Deborah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. That is the information that I'm getting from 2 sources, that there was a van either on the New Jersey Turnpike or the Garden State Parkway, and that it was near the George Washington Bridge. There were 2 or 3 men who were in the van. The van was pulled over. It is not clear why the van was pulled over, but when it was, law enforcers found tons of explosives inside of the van. That is right now all I'm hearing, but again, 2 to 3 people in custody, and we are trying to get more information on that right now.
Deborah, I don't mean to put you on the spot here. Do you know where on the Jersey Turnpike this was? How far from New York City?
We do not know that. We are looking into that. There is one report that it was on the New Jersey Turnpike. There is another report that it was very close to the bridge, if not on the bridge. So again, these details are all emerging, and we're trying to piece them together. But that's what we've got so far. 2 to 3 people in custody right now, found with a van filled with explosives.
All right, well understood. Deborah, where are you tonight?
And word late tonight that 2 suspects are in FBI custody after a truckload of explosives was discovered around the George Washington Bridge. That bridge links New York to New Jersey over the Hudson River. Whether the discovery of those explosives had anything to do with other events today is unclear, but the FBI has 2 suspects in hand, said the truck load of explosives, enough explosives were in the truck to do great damage to the George Washington Bridge. But they arrested the 2 suspects and they're questioning them as we speak.
And all of a sudden, down there, I see this van parked. And I see 3 guys on top of the van. And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
We had received an all-points bulletin, and I just happened to see the van and, you know, hollered over to my lieutenant. You know, I think that could be the van. We checked it out, and it was. You know, we were all on edge, obviously, so I really wasn't looking to make friends with these people, and neither were the officers that I were with. Once we started talking to them, you know, they were pretty much like, hey, you know, we're not against you, we're with you.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad. The fact of the matter is, we are coming from a country that experiences terror daily. Our purpose was to document the event.
They did it. I have had long conversations over the past 2 weeks with contacts at the Army War College, at Headquarters Marine Corps, and I've made it absolutely clear in both cases that it is 100% certain that 9/11 was a Mossad operation. And what I showed them immediately afterwards, the 3rd building at the World Trade Center going down, WBC-7. And they look at that, and I said, now you understand that if one of the buildings was wired for demolition, all of them were wired for demolition. And what Americans need to understand, they did it. They did it. And if they do understand that, Israel will flat-ass disappear from this earth.